I do recall whenever I took my first shot at a business and it was tough and I failed at it. And I can honestly say there were a point in time I couldn't admit that, not to anyone else, but to myself. I could not admit that I had failed in it. But what I had to realize so that I would not be in a state of fear, a state where I wasn't productive, a state where I was completely paralyzed, what I had to do is I truly had to turn that failure and all that negativity into an exciting, a compelling reason to move forward. You know, instead of giving up, I had to continually ask myself, if I give up, you know, then where will I be years from now? Where will people that are watching? Because people are always watching you. Often I say, you think, some of you think that it is just the people that are cheering you on, that are watching, but there's haters that are watching you too. They are always watching and they want you to fail. But guess what? Surprisingly, if you win, if you become a winner, it could possibly change them. And see, that's the tough part about life, because I truly believe life is just more than what we really think it is. I believe that in life, yes, it's easy to inspire people or the people that are positive. I'm naturally positive. However, the challenge comes when I can inspire someone that's negative. See, that's the hard work. That's the hard work that, if you think about it, even biblically, that's the hard work that was done. It's really inspiring when things are bad. So I thought about all of those things and I didn't think long. So I will say one, if you are jotting some notes down, if we could summarize this session, I would say one, you have to think through it, but don't think too long. If you've ever heard that saying, you think too long, you think wrong, it is absolutely true. What I find is there's a world full of thinkers and they are always thinking, and nothing wrong with thinking, but what the problem is, they think so daggone much that they are not doing. They are always thinking. They think too much to the point they don't get anything done. You have to think through it. I had to think through the failures. I had to evaluate what went wrong, because not to point fingers, but to have the fingers pointing towards me, to look within so that I could do the inner work, so that I could get better, so that I could go live out any goals and dreams that I had. So you have to honestly think through it, but don't think long at all. And then two, you have to maybe write it down, jot it down, imprint it in your memory. But those things, those reasons, those compelling reasons, you have to find it. Those compelling reasons to keep moving. For me, it's because I always knew that just the simple things, of course we all want things in life, but there's just some non-negotiables that I wanted. I always wanted to make sure that I had more money than anything, more money than month, instead of what a lot of people are experiencing, which is more month than money. Meaning, I wanted to make sure if there was anything I had to pay, I could one time a month, beginning of the month, pay my bills, and the rest of the month, I was not thinking about money. Maybe checking on it, making sure I'm not hacked, someone hasn't stolen my identity, but not focusing on money. See, that is freeing. This is why I often say you have to get to a place of being debt free. You have to get to a place of freeing yourself, because it frees not only your pockets and your money, it frees your mind to know that you can pay whatever necessary bills you have, right? And not even think about money for the next 29, 30 days of the month is so empowering. But what's happening right now is people are thinking about money 30 to 31 days a month. Now, don't get it twisted. I understand that money is important. You need money to live. but money should not consume 90 something percent of your life. Is there not anything good in your life? You know, my sweet niece said it, and she said it beautifully. And being young, she said, you know, I said, make sure you are not getting stressed. And she was like, I'm not like most people. She said, most times I see that people get stressed when they don't have a life. They don't have things other than maybe their job, or focusing on the lack of money. They don't have anything important in their lives. So they get stressed out. And I'm telling you, she's so wise, so beautiful, and so wise, but that is so true. When you should not be consumed, if you have, even if you're not debt free, let's say you're on the path to being debt free. I know you are, if you're tuning in. If you're on that path to being debt free, you shouldn't have to focus on it. That plan should already be on autopilot. It should already be on autopilot, and you're cruising and you're not thinking about it. Everything is working for your favor. Everything is working. So you can spend the majority of your month focusing on being better, on growing, on getting close to your purpose. So I know that number 2, there was a lot that was wrapped up in it, but I will say you honestly have to make sure of that. As you're thinking through it and not thinking through it long, you have to find those compelling reasons, and you will never do that if you do not have clarity in your life. If things are not clear, if you are stressed about money, well, not money, the lack of money, then you have to get things in order. You have to do it right, because that is so important. And then going into my third point, I would say that make sure, because like I said, fear is so crippling, and sadly it's contagious. This is why I'm absolutely so positive, but I am so careful who or whom or what I spend my time around or doing. You have to be careful. I mean, if you are around a bunch of fearful people that do not want to move, then you have to change that. You have to leave that circle. Am I saying forget your loved ones? No, I would never say that. But am I saying you need a temporary pause from some of them? Maybe. So that you can get stronger, so that you can now have more faith than fear. You could stop being paralyzed and you could start moving again, moving through the failure. You need more encouraging environments. And often, sometimes it could be the closest person to you. It could be your partner. It could be your spouse. It could be your best friend. And of course, some of those are people you can't just easily separate yourself from, but you can separate your mindset. You maybe physically cannot, but mentally you can. Mentally, you can relieve yourself from that. And you could continually, I know, and I've had to do this, continually pray as those people are speaking and they're in a fearful state. You could start praying, God, do not let that state of fear that they are showing or speaking get inside of me. God, help me to block this fear. God, fill me with more faith than fear. God, help me to get through this failure. Connect me, God, with more people that are not as fearful. Connect me with the right people. Help me to continue to stay strong around the people that are fearful. And the reason I say this in that prayer is because, again, I said this earlier, it's not the easy things. The easy thing is to go find a group of people that are strong in their faith, that know how to push through failures. And man, that's amazing. But it's absolutely awesome when you could still overcome a state of failure in negative situations or around maybe negative, and I wouldn't even say negative, because if someone's fearful, that doesn't make them negative, I shall say, at all. But I would say rather being around people that are fearful. You could still rise. It's a challenge, but you can do it. And I truly believe with our higher power, we can do anything. So allowing yourself to, mentally separate from that, changing your mindset is so important. When you start to change your mindset, you'll start to look at that failure as a good thing. So going back to when I failed years ago, and I remember, and I was hard on myself, but I had to remember, I said, this doesn't change anything. I'm still a winner. Whatever I go after from this point on, I still have an opportunity to win. But what's guaranteed to happen is if I don't do anything, then I'm going to lose. And I feel currently, that I'm so glad that I pushed through that, because I never would be where I am today. I would never be in as I often say, a cash queen position. I would never be in a debt-free position. And that position is so important because, as I said earlier, mentally, it changes your outlook on life. So I will tell you, if you are battling failure, I know this is hard, but embrace it. Embrace it. Open up your arms, bring it on. No, you don't want a lot of it, but accept it. Learn what you can, turn it into a blessing, and move it forward. Go forward. Take those lessons and move forward with them. Move forward so that you can reach your goals and dreams. See, when I talked to that lady in the grocery store, I was like, wow. The most important thing, when I kept saying wow, it wasn't her. It wasn't because she was talking about going back, having to go back to the office that she didn't want to go to. I was just like, wow, she has an opportunity. She has an opportunity where she doesn't have to answer to anyone but herself. She can be her own boss. She has a gift, a business. And if only she would change her outlook, her perception. If only she would drop that fear and pick up faith and go make it happen, she would never have to worry about anyone changing her schedule except for her. But the thing is, I kept saying wow because she didn't get it. She kept blaming everyone else. And that will happen when you are going through failure. I've done it. You will blame everyone else except for who? The person you should blame. If she would just blame herself and would realize that, wow, I have the power to change the situation. They don't. So I don't even know if it's financial. We didn't even get that far to even talk about financial, but I will talk about it, as I often do in our sessions. I will talk about it. When you are financially secure, when you are debt-free or on the road to debt freedom, see, things like that, when a job tries to do something that's not beneficial to you, when a business starts to change and maybe it shifts in a direction that is no longer appealing to you, not just a job, this can happen in your business. What I know is money, and having money work for you, it gives you options. It gives you options to escape that situation. So I don't know in this situation if that was even a factor, but I do know there was a business. And if there's a business that you have, a business that she spoke like, this is something I know God wants me to do. In that case, God doesn't want you to probably take this. It's probably a sign that God is saying it's time to go. But I knew she could never receive it because she was in a state of fear. So if you are in a state of fear, if you've allowed failure to tear you down, you are one decision away. You are one absolute decision away from changing the course of your life. You do not have to be in a failure, a fear, withdrawn state at all. So That is it for me. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, my ownership babes. Hasta luego.